What's going on, everyone? So, from season 3, the finale has came and went, and we learned that Jade is the reincarnated version of Christopher, and Tabitha is a reincarnated version of Miranda. It's something that has kind of been, rumored and speculated and kind of thought about and theorized since really first season in a lot of ways. But now that we actually have the confirmation that they were a couple, they were an item, not necessarily Miranda and Christopher specifically, but they were there from the beginning. And the two of them have, Tabitha and Jade, that is, have basically been reliving through different versions of the original kind of settlers of this town. They've kind of basically been destined to relive this nightmare over and over and over and over again. That they were the two that were trying to save the children. They were the two that were trying to prevent were all of the monsters. They were the ones that ended up sacrificing the children. They were the ones that sacrificed even their own children in order to have immortality. They wanted him to be immortal, as you saw with the Smiley monster and how he got killed, but ended up having a rebirth and being brought back, right? Because they can't die. If they die, we now know that that's how they regenerate, right? That they cannot be killed because they sacrificed their children. So it's up to Jade and Tabitha now to kind of resolve and try to figure out how to save the children. That Tabitha and Jade appear more likely than not, I imagine, right? We'll find out as the seasons progress, because we know we got season 4 and they're trying to do at least a 5th season, but this more likely than not is the iteration in which we'll survive, that we'll figure it out, that we'll come to the conclusion. I mean, so much so we saw the monster take out Jim because of knowledge, right? Like the man in yellow literally says knowledge comes at a cost. So they needed to get rid of Jim because he was kind of getting in the way of Jade and Tabitha starting to solve this little puzzle, right? He was the one that gave them the insight into the musical notes, that the bottle notes were actual music progressions, because Jim, his mother, was a piano teacher. But now that we know kind of the setup with Jade and Tabitha, my curiosity is, okay, well, what will become of Jade and Tabitha? Jim is now out of the picture. And I mean, look, Jim and Tabitha were already headed for divorce and were going to break up before they came into this town, right? Like their marriage was basically done, and they've kind of, been masquerading throughout FROMVILLE, given the circumstances that they're in. But, they were a couple that they had kind of their separations, and you saw that very clearly at times over the past few seasons. However, right, with Jim now out of the picture and Jade and Tabitha now remembering, because Ankui meant remember, right? Ankui means remember. So now that you have Jade and Tabitha remembering their past, Jim is now out of the picture. Does this now set up Tabitha and Jade to kind of rekindle their romance from many moons ago? You got to keep in mind, so Miranda and Christopher were not together. They were not a couple. They remember, though, all the past lives. They remember that they were a couple, again, many, many moons ago at the beginning. They were there in the beginning of FROMVILLE. And in the beginning of FROMVILLE, they had a daughter. The daughter was the one that you saw kneel down in front of Tabitha and was the one that said Ankui and then unlocked the remember memories in their mind. And she was the one you saw the gash, which signals that that's probably how she died. Somebody took her out. And Jade and Tabitha, when they first were there, again, many, many moons ago, they ended up failing. They ended up dying. Their daughter ended up dying. All the children ended up dying. And now they keep trying to solve this puzzle over and over and over and over again, but have failed every time. Well, this seems to be, we don't know this for certain, but we Christopher and Miranda didn't really seem to work together. We have seen Jade and Tabitha working very diligently together. I mean, from, the symbols to, Jade is trying to help her at the bottle tree and stuff, right? Like, this version of Jade and Tabitha have really kind of connected from what appears to be different than Christopher and Miranda did, where they just kind of seemed like they were living two different lives, where Jade and Tabitha have really kind of lived together and helped each other together. Not in like a romantic sense or anything like that, but does this kind of evolve into that? And is that what needs to happen in order to solve this? Right? Because, when they're separated, they're not as strong. But when they're together, right, like they were in the beginning, yes, they failed, but when they're not working together and there's not that spark and there's not that camaraderie between the two, right, as Christopher's kind of doing his own thing. The boy in white tells Christopher, hey, you need to go into the tree, and he's kind of like, nah, I ain't doing all that, right? So Miranda tries to do it. Again, there's no teamwork between those two, where Jade and Tabitha clearly have that teamwork down. They were even at the tree together, going over the tree and inspecting it together and trying to help with the music notes. And then on top of that, you had, even Ethan helping Jade, and Jade's kind of playing around, right? Like, so you see very clearly that this version of, the chosen two, the ones that had the daughter, that were traced back to the beginning, Tabitha and Jade, they have always kind of been this duo. They've always kind of been these helpers to each other. Well, now Jim's out of the picture. Now they remember their past relationship. Now they remember that they used to have a love for each other. Now they remember that they are, these kindred spirits, right? Like, does that now start to play a role as season 4 progresses, right? Or I think it'd be a little weird if, Tabitha finds out Jim died and literally that night they're shacking up together, getting ready to make a new baby, right? Like, I think that would be a little weird, but do we see maybe by the end of season 4 that romance right now? Because you got to keep in mind, again, they have memories of being together now. They knew that they loved each other. They know that they had children, right? Like, it's different now. Before, they were just helping each other because they were having similar experiences in FROMVILLE. Both were seeing the Ankui children. Both were trying to solve this mystery and how to save the children. And Jay trying to solve the root symbol, and then on top of that trying to solve now these notes and all that, right? Like, it was not so much from the memories of the past. It was just, hey, we're having this similarity, we should probably try to solve some of this stuff, or at least work together here and there. But they did have this separation to an extent too, right? Like, Jade was obsessed and kind of doing his thing and to his own device, the same way as Tabitha. Well, now that they have the memories, do they kind of shack up together and help each other, right? Do they teamwork this through? Because now they've unlocked those memories that Miranda and Christopher likely didn't have, right? They didn't get that far. They didn't figure out, like Jade figured out the musical notes and figured out, kind of the story of the symbol thanks to Tabitha and the story that was related, right? Like, Jade and Tabitha have done things already that Miranda and Christopher never were able to get that far. So now it's just a very different circumstance. So I really do think that these two are probably going to end up together at some point. I do think that now that they remember, right, like, there is this connection. Jim is out of the picture, as kind of messed up as that sounds. I mean, that's the reality, right? Because again, you got to keep in mind, they remember their relationship. They remember having children together, right? Jade says, we used to sing them, what was it, hymns or whatever, right? Like, he used to say, he remembers Tabitha and Jade being together. Tabitha remembers her and Jade being together. and their relationship and how they failed, right? So now there's all these different emotions and memories and things that are starting to flood to them that they didn't have up until this point, right? So I do think that is going to be kind of interesting to see how it plays out, and the fact that they now remember. But that's the key, right? Remember, and Kui. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you think that Jade and Tabitha could potentially end up together? Do you think that, that now that they remember, there will be kind of this teamwork, this chemistry between the two of them? Do you think that their love, their spark, will start to kind of ignite? Do you think that, especially now that Jim's kind of out of the way, will the two of them kind of, again, I don't think it'll happen immediately, but at some point, again, because they have those emotions and those memories and stuff. However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it either way. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. It helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.